Alright, that should be long enough. Hello everybody, welcome to Main Chat Nerd Night, where we have a couple of people here who, from the Main Chat Discord server, should be a link somewhere, and we just play some Dungeons & Dragons. We've been playing, this is the 4th session for our Thursday group, and just a quick little recap, if I can find the thing, there it is. Just a quick little recap. The party met in a small hamlet by the name of Darnek. Noticed a couple of interesting things going on while they were there. They managed to be approached by an elf by the name of Larasa Anway, who asked them to retrieve some documents for her for various purposes. They started making their way out the next morning, they started making their way out that same day from Darnek to get to the city of Fandaulo. On their way up, they encountered a number of creatures. First they encountered, I believe, a pack of gnolls. They ran into a statue, and then they ran into a pack of bandits. This is currently their second day of travel. And it's about mid-afternoon. They just finished up a bandit fight with many people. That ended up going a lot longer than anticipated, in which Rurik actually fell but was revived. Okay, so picking up after that, what would you guys like to do?
I say we rest for a little bit and catch our breath.
Okay. You can take a short rest if you'd like. That's about an hour's worth of game time.
We should probably, figure out how to divvy up the loot stuff that we got.
Yeah, that's a good idea, too.
Okay, well, so the loot that you collected from the gnolls? Is that...
I was thinking the loot from the bandits that we just killed.
You have not yet searched the bandits. Would you like
also
to do
the gold from the statue.
So the things from the previous session, I believe I mentioned that you can divide things up between sessions, or you can do it now if you like. It doesn't matter to me, but
Yeah, we didn't manage to divide it between the sessions.
okay. So you've got, I believe, 8 dead bodies around you. There's a cart. You're on a trail, most of the way there to Fandaulo.
Well, I say we could probably start searching the bodies of the bandits for loot.
Okay. Go ahead and roll investigation.
1 second.
I think we got a couple hundred gold from the statue a while back. I don't think we sorted that out yet.
I think Rurik wrote that down. Find familiar. I have your sheet here for that. Okay, so Find Familiar has a casting time of an hour. Just as a heads up, if you want to take an hour, you can, but it'll take an hour. 20. Okay, so you go through. You know, even at first glance, it's pretty easy to see that each of the bandits has a scimitar, if you'd like to take those. Most of the bandits had mostly functional light crossbows, along with a full complement of crossbow bolts. I can give you specific numbers if you'd like to pick them up. Going through, patting down the various pockets, you do find approximately 275 gold pieces in various denominations. And as you pat down the bandit captain, the leader of the group, you also find 2, 4, 6, 9 gems, 3 lapis lazuli, 2 obsidian, 2 moss agate, and a turquoise, and I'll write that down for you, for a combined total value of 40 gold, if you can find the right person. So that's the That's the bandits themselves that you've searched.
I'm thinking we take the gold and the gems and leave the weapons.
Okay, and as you're going through this, you see Prudence goes off to the side, looking a little bummed, and he just says to the group, I would like to get Deer back. It'll take an hour for me to summon her again. If that's all right.
I think that's fine.
The
Rurik just got home, by the way.
material components of Find Familiar. Everything else, I would assume you already have. You can mark off 10 gold worth of charcoal if you like. And you can, if you don't have a brazier on you, you can use like a smudge pot or something on the ground.
Sweet.
Someone said something, I didn't hear it.
I'm sorry?
I heard some mumbling.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah,
got home.
Rurik just got home.
Ah, nice.
So he's far away from the microphone.
Or
Okay.
Genzi, you mean?
Sorry about that.
Or Denzi.
Hello. Let me get situated here.
Okay, so Prudence has asked for an hour to resummon his familiar. Casting this spell will require that you guys stay in the same place. You won't be able to move while he's casting this spell. If that's something that you'd be fine with, or if you want to get going and do it later on in the day.
What spell is he casting?
He's summoning his familiar.
Oh, okay, right.
Because
yes.
Deer was turned into a puff of smoke in combat.
But by all means, resummon your familiar. Deer was quite a deer to have along.
It's useful having an aerial scout.
So, Rurik, go ahead and roll a constant. No, I'm kidding.
Roll a what?
I'm kidding. Don't worry about it. Just for your terrible pun. Alright, so far the bodies of the bandits have been looted. Is there anything else you'd like to do while Prudence... are you going to do this just like on the road, off the side of the road? How are you going to be doing this?
I'd like to examine the cart as well.
Okay, roll investigation for me, Rurik.
Oh, that was
That was me. That was Shigun.
Shigun.
Sorry. I see the name.
I have something I
light
would
up.
like to do.
That's right.
Go ahead and take care of him first.
Okay, yeah, Shigun, go ahead and roll investigation. 22. Cool. So you go through the cart. You do notice that the cart itself actually does have a number of small sacks. There's a chest there. They look just sort of thrown there. This is definitely not where they're stored long term. They've probably hit a couple of people over the course of the day. You do find a... In there you find another 72 gold pieces, all entirely in copper. You can mark down 72, but just for flavor. Entirely in copper pieces. And in the chest you actually see, which is not locked, you see there's a lock on it, but it is not currently locked. There's a small scrap of paper. Shigun, what languages do you know?
Check real quick. I know Common, Elvish, and Dwarvish.
Common Elvish.
And Dwarvish.
Common Elvish and Dwarvish. Oh, I didn't write it down on the list for some reason. Anyway. Oh, that's right. I forgot you. I didn't write down the fact that you understand Dwarvish. Give me one quick second to add that. There we go. On the piece of paper, you recognize it as Dwarven writing. You see it is a contract on the top. It states that it's a contract for an unspecified sum to find a piece of jewelry that is, it's not specified by name, but there's a crude sketch of what looks like a circlet with some kind of gem embedded into it, and it's stamped at the bottom with the dwarven symbol Jiran, which I will paste in the chat once I find it in my messages that I held on to. Sorry, Yiran, which I will throw in Thursday gameplay right now. There we go. Okay, so Prudence, you go off to the side of the road. You're pretty much like right on the edge of the road there. Are you like behind the cart, or you just doesn't matter?
Fuss about the contract gives me a question.
Okay. I'll finish up with Prudence, then I'll come right back to you, and then I believe Rurik had something for me.
Yes.
So Prudence, you sit down, you open your spell book, and you start inscribing a small circle on the ground, and into it you place the herbs and the charcoal necessary, light a small fire, and start beginning the incantation necessary to summon your familiar. Zook, if it's a quick question.
Yeah, it's like, can thieves can't be put in writing?
In theory, but if it's in writing, it's really more just any kind of code. One would identify thieves can't mostly in a spoken format by a particular way of talking. Like if it's one of those where if you say something in thieves can't and the other person understands it, there's a lot of different things that can help them recognize it. Inflection, the way you position your hands and the way you move your mouth while you're speaking, things like that. If it's in writing, it's more of just a regular code.
Okay.
I mean, if you'd like to see if you can decipher any sort of code, that would be an intelligence roll.
No, I was just wondering.
But it wouldn't really be a language literacy per se, unless you already know the code.
I was just wondering.
Okay. Rurik, you had something for me.
Okay. I would, as Prudence is performing his ritual thing to summon his familiar, I would like to scour the area for potential herbs and such that I might be able to forage for usage in, to put towards materials towards future potion making.
Okay.
Is that something I can do?
Yeah, absolutely. Roll an herbalism check, which in this case is going to be D20 proficiency mod and wisdom.
So that's +5.
Okay, 23. All right, you scavenge the area as you're walking, as you're working. You do go into the forest quite a ways. The area of the ground, the ground right around, right around where the road is not particularly fertile, so there's not a lot of undergrowth. But as you get further away from the road, it takes you about half an hour, but you do collect the materials necessary, you believe, to probably supply you for a couple of miscellaneous potions. In this case, in your inventory, you can write down 3x common potion ingredients. And then we can work on what specifically those are at a later time.
Excellent. Thank you.
For reference, though, in this particular area of the country, you wouldn't be able to find any ingredients for any kind of magical resistance potions. This is really health or ability augmenting potions that you'd be able to find in the ingredients you'd find in this area.
My goal here is to build up materials over time as we stop and find things, and to eventually be able to do something.
Okay.
I'm thinking we should stop and take a short rest and get our loot situation sorted.
Right. So as a part of this, if you'd like, Rurik and Prudence would be exempt from this, but the other two, I don't believe you've done anything that would be particularly exertional. So you can do your short rest over the next hour or so. Rurik, you took a half hour, and Prudence, you're taking the entire hour to summon. But everybody else, if you'd like to take a short rest, you can use that time to do so.
I don't think a short rest would do me any good anyway.
It depends if you need hit points or not. That's really all a short rest does, unless you have abilities that recharge on a short rest, which I don't think you do.
My action surge will recover after a short rest, so I'm definitely. And I can
That's
use-
right. Yeah, I always forget action surge is a short rest, not a long rest.
I know, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're
how
a
many
little far away from the mic. Go ahead, Zook.
how many total gold do we have? Like, how many total gold did we get that we didn't like distribute?
Just now. I hope somebody's writing this down, but
Like in
just...
total
Oh,
that we
yeah.
haven't handled yet.
That would be a question for whoever's handling your gold, because I'm not keeping track of that.
Well, then who's handling it?
I had noted down what we had before, and Prudence is correct. We had 214 from the prior travels and looting our last encounter.
Okay, and then add that to the bandits.
Oh right, we already discussed that prior. To your character sheet, you can make a note of plus 53 gold and plus 5 silver.
And that's from the last session. That's from the gnolls and from that chest that we found by the statue.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm still going through all the notes of the stuff that we found that Shigun has brought me up to speed on.
Okay. So as you're going through this, you, Prudence and...
what about the gold
sorry.
from the bandits?
We can worry about that later.
That's fair.
We have it written down at least, so we can always discuss it later if we have to.
Okay. So if there's anything else...
We can deal with it now if you want, but in favor of keeping the game moving, there's not much reason to do it now.
Well, I would like to take a short rest, and I will do that just as soon as I look up how to take a short rest.
So if you are in need of healing, you can use... I believe you have 2 hit dice, so you can use up to 2 of your hit dice, roll, and add that to your hit points if you're in need of healing. Otherwise, I don't believe you have any abilities that recharge with a short rest, so otherwise that's it for you. Although I should probably look before saying that.
No, I mean, like, I have the 1 cantrip, and
No, spells don't recharge with a short
That's
rest
it.
either way. So.
and it's a cantrip anyway, so
Yeah, and cantrips just...
I don't run out of that. There's
Right.
also, there's and a bunch of passives, so it would just be healing.
Okay, go ahead and roll for that.
I'm gonna go ahead and roll for a short rest HP as well. It's just hit die plus con modifier, right?
I believe it's just hit dice.
The player's handbook says
Let me confirm that. Is it hit dice and
hit
con mod?
die plus your constitution modifier.
Is it? Oh, okay. Well, hit dice plus con mod then.
Whoops, I did mine wrong. Cool, that's nice.
That will put me back at full.
And now I instead have 6 health.
Alrighty.
Cool, that's nice.
Oh, ha.
You know what?
I completely skipped over. I completely skipped over one of the important items here in the chest. There's not just a piece of paper. There are also two potions of healing and one other potion that you're not familiar with, but it looks a lot like a potion of healing. Just
Can I drink one of the
bigger.
potions of healing? You know what? No, we're not in a stressful situation. Never mind.
So you can mark off 2 potions of healing, and then 1 potion that's currently unidentified.
It says here, if you want, you can spend an additional hit die after each roll.
Yeah, I'm considering whether to do that.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure you knew that.
Yeah, you get to choose how many hit dice
Wait,
after
nope, that's wrong.
That is an 8.
Okay. I now have 0 d8 hit dice, and
Until your next long rest.
so I have 10 hit points, so that's nice. It's good, at least. I can work on that.
Which for you is not the worst it could be. Alright, so as we're doing the short rest, Prudence, you have now... right,
Yes, I know.
we were going to get to that when we get to that. Yeah, so Prudence, you've finished summoning Deer again. She appears on the ground next to where you were summoning, where you had the ritual components. After the end of the spell, you kind of push some dirt over the ashes and snuff out the fire. I believe Shigun, if you'd also like to roll for hit dice if you need to at the end of your short rest.
I already rolled earlier.
Oh, you already rolled? Okay, cool.
That puts me well, with 1 hit die.
That's right.
That puts
said
you
it
what?
is. I think he goes up to full. You're a little far away from the mic. We just can't really hear you.
Yeah, you are quite quiet.
Yeah, I'm back up to full with the short.
Okay.
rest.
Yeah, no biggie. I trust you guys to keep track of that. All right. So as the short rest period comes up, Prudence, you've got your bird back. You're feeding her a bit of meat because she's rather upset. Her feathers are a bit ruffled, but otherwise she seems okay. I assume at this point you're just going to continue on down the trail. General question for the group.
Rurik, what do you think?
Would be the reasonable thing to do.
Yes. I
Okay.
would like to. Quick question. Question for the DM regarding character sheet stuff. I feel like I used all 3 of my spells, but I think I might have forgotten to make a note of it. Do you happen to recall if I've used all my slots?
I want to say yes. I believe you cast Cure Wounds a few times, and I think you cast Shield of Faith.
I know
Which
I
I
cast
think-
Shield of Faith. I think I might have used Healing Word.
Healing Word, right? Which is also
I
it's a level 1
distinctly
spell
remember you
regardless.
cast Create Wounds at one point.
That's
Yeah.
right. You cast Inflict
I
Wounds.
cast Inflict Wounds, Healing Word, and Shield of Faith. So yes, I have expended all my slots. I forgot to make a note of that.
There you go.
In that case, I would like to state to the rest of the party that my I am exhausted in terms of spell work, so I'd do our best to avoid conflict if possible. I'm also very upset that I ended up having to kill someone. Not very happy about that.
Alrighty. So Prudence goes to the rest of you. I'd like to take another pass and see if there's anything left to be found, if that's okay.
I'm not opposed to that.
By all means.
How should
Okay.
we divvy these potions up? Because these potions of healing would be useful if we end up.
Go ahead and roll
Yes.
investigation. Prudence.
I'm assuming we're just picking up everything except the scimitars and crossbows.
Okay. 8. I'm assuming you just want to do a quick once over. You don't want to really like sit down and take your time and do this. Okay, so an 11. All right. Yeah, you just do a quick skim over. Most of what's been found already is all there is to be found. Otherwise, there is a set of not a set, excuse me. The bandit captain was wearing just a rough cloak, if you'd like to pick that up if you don't already have one. Otherwise, that's pretty much all you can see in a quick glance.
Just to clarify, the roll that Prudence just did, with a +3 would have been a 6 instead.
Okay, either way, same answer, because there's nothing left to find. That's the thing about skill checks. It doesn't matter if you have a critical success. If there's nothing left to find, there's nothing left to find. Okay, so you make your way down the trail. Just, if you want to check it, skill checks can also determine how much time you spend doing a thing. So if you roll very poorly, and you don't articulate that you don't want to take a long amount of time, you'll still do whatever it is you want to do. It just might not be as good, or it might take a long time. So for example,
so we're continuing.
Okay. Yep. You continue down the trail. It's getting mid to late afternoon or so. You make your way down the road. As you get along, as the sun starts to get lower in the sky, you do notice more and more roads start to come in and join. Excuse me, the road that you're on. This is very clearly you're getting a lot closer to the city. And I'll double check where you are here. Okay, and as you get closer to the city, to your right, you notice a large mountain range that had always been there. Is a lot closer now. The mountains, you've gotten a lot closer to the mountains, and within probably an easy 4 hours or so, it's getting to about dusk. The sun is just barely down beyond the horizon. There's still light in the sky, but it's getting late. You eventually come over the top of a hill, and you see below you a large walled city, which Rurik is familiar with because he's already passed through. This is the city of Fandaulo.
Looks like we're finally here, guys.
Nice.
Alrighty. For reference, I'm going to throw the map down here, which I know you really can't see very well, but I can at least point to places on the map and as we describe them. As you come down the trail, you notice a river in the east goes into the city, and you can see it actually goes out to the other side and winds up into the mountains. You are making your way towards the south gate here. As you get closer to the gate, you see on both sides of the river there's farmland to the east, and there's a set of sort of ramshackle buildings, various people living in them, doing various things as you walk by, and you get all the way up to all the way up to the south gate. Now, as you get closer, the walls of this city are very tall, easily 30 feet high. Not the tallest in the world, but pretty large for this region in particular. The gate itself is a relatively simple construction. There's just two large, essentially wooden doors that are currently open, and there's a slew of guards just standing next to the gate. It doesn't look like passage in and out of the city is particularly restricted. There are people going in and out, but there is a guard presence at this gate. Would you like? And then I'm assuming that you're going up into the city?
I would say so. I think we're going to go ahead and enter.
Okay. You make your way into the city. A couple of the guards...
Question.
Oh, the thing didn't refresh, which is annoying. There we go. Well... roll perception. And... Nah. I was gonna make you roll just a straight wisdom as well, but I think I'll let that one go. $21. How about that? That'll do it. As you take a look at these guards, they are fairly well armed. You see each of them is outfitted with a small hand crossbow on the side, and they are all wearing relatively simple armor. Some of them have the armor's in slightly better repair than others. Mostly simple scale mail. There are some that are holding short swords, some are holding long swords. You do notice that there's one guard who's actually holding a scimitar, very similar to the ones that you saw the bandits wielding on the road. And as you pass through the gate, you take a glance up and you see that there are guards patrolling the top of the walls as well, and each of these has a longbow. Okay, so as you walk through the gate, Prudence starts walking to the center and then very suddenly makes a right angle turn and walks straight towards one group of guards to the side, to the left. And they notice this and they stand up a little. They're not threatened. They just stand up at attention because they notice they're being looked at. And he walks up to the group, says, "Hello. Is there anywhere? We're new to this city." Now, this is for reference, Rurik. You have been here before, and you do know some locations within the city already. But Prudence says, We're newcomers to this city. Is there anywhere that a couple of weary travelers may be able to rest for the evening? Cost or quality, your choice." I'm going to wait for you to finish typing before moving on. Okay. Yeah, one of the guards sort of glances at you for the first time, and you notice an authority figure is not really taking much notice of your appearance. The other two guards kind of look at each other, but this one seems completely unfazed at the fact that a tiefling is speaking to him. And I gotta flip to the page where I put my notes about the taverns and the inns. Okay. And he says, "Hello. Well, welcome, first off. And, yeah, there's a couple of locations within Fandaulo that might be good for coin, that might be good for stay. If you're looking for something on the cheap, Father Eric always runs the Cudgel's Grace. And Rurik, you do know that this town is has a very strong contingent of worshippers of Saint Cuthbert, whose patron weapon is a cudgel.
Yes.
So, upon hearing this, Rurik, you would recognize it as a location related to the religion. He says, if you're looking for cheap, the Cudgel's Grace is going to be over by the courtyard of St. Cuthbert. And if you're looking for good, well, in that case, you're going to be looking at the Fate's Draw. It's in High Spire. Really large, you can't miss it. And Prudence says, "Thank you. I'm unsure of your customs, but," and you start to hand him a gold piece, and he waves you off and says, "No, don't worry about that. It's all a part of the job." One of the guards behind him starts to speak up, and he just sort of shushes him. Okay. So Prudence goes to the rest of the group. Where's my... need to turn this down a little bit.
Have I been to this town?
I don't believe we've talked specifically about it. Which, remind me...
I'm a traveling performer, but I haven't been traveling for long.
Okay. You came from the south, I believe, in the first session, right? I don't believe you would have made it as far north as Fandaulo. It's a bit far from where your people come from.
Yeah.
At least in this part of the country.
I would like to raise a hand in greeting toward the guard and thank them for the information and utter a brief prayer of gratitude in their honor.
Okay. You raise to him and you speak a couple of words, blessing them under Palor's light, and he simply nods back at you and says, May St. Cuthbert guide you, friend.
Thank you.
And you make your way into the city of Fandaulo, which I unfortunately don't have music prepared for, so you're just going to have the same music that you had before. Prudence is now relaying that information to the rest of the group, and personally recommending the Fate's Draw, which is located in the High Spire district, which you know from the map that Larasa gave you is this section of the city here, near the castle.
Looks like we can cross the river up ahead, and then we can turn at that center square and make our way towards High Spire.
That also seems to be a pretty good location to go in general for, I believe, 2 of our objectives that Larasa had made note of are in that area as well.
Castle would be a good place to check.
Getting a bit late.
Okay, yeah, this is you are
Rurik,
getting...
do you know
Go ahead.
where, like, any libraries are?
Rurik, from your time here, particularly the time that you spent because you were researching for materials, you do know that the castle has a very large library, one of the largest in the country, of just general knowledge. There are also a couple of buildings, mostly bookstores, but also a couple of houses of learning scattered throughout, mostly in the Chero district, which is this section here. But there's no real pattern to them. It depends on what you're looking for, and it depends on whether you personally would have gone to them.
Right. I relay this information to Zook, and
Is that library public or private, or gotta pay a fee, or how does it work?
You do know that while you were here, you were not able to get access to the... Let me actually flip to it so I give you the correct answer here. Where is the castle? Here you are. You were not able to get access to the library. It, generally speaking, is... if you have business in the castle, you're allowed in, and then at that point, you're basically trusted to roam wherever, as long as you don't try to go to any locked doors, but you weren't able to really make your way in because you didn't have any business in the castle.
all right.
Okay. What's the next best library?
So unfortunately, I can't get you into the castle.
The next best library that you were looking for was because of the direction of what you were trying to find, you found a small, essentially school, located in the Chero district, called the Druid's Hand, which is primarily geared towards herbalism and divine druidic magic.
Why do you have a sudden interest in a library, Zook?
Well, one of our objectives is to learn about House Tarmyran.
Ah, yes.
And I do agree that might be the best place to check.
It's a good place to start. Don't know much about House Tarmyran.
Although
I wouldn't know who to ask.
When it comes
then
to royal houses, though, I think the castle library might be the best bet if we can ascertain access.
I might be able to get
As-
access.
As you're talking back and forth about this, Prudence just pipes up and says, "Well, we can always go to the castle and ask for a job, and then just maybe change our mind later."
How prudent.
That's an interesting plan.
I don't know, though. I mean, I feel like if we did something like that, they might blacklist us once we suddenly leave.
Yeah. And Shigun is nobility. They might see fit to grant us an audience on that merit alone.
That's certainly possible. I might be able to talk with them.
Just for reference, hate to interrupt, but are you guys making your way towards the Fate's Draw?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be the fancy,
Yeah.
expensive one located in the High Spire district. Okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
so to get there, you do cross through the Fells, which is the name of the collective name for these 2 districts here. Make your way into the Riverward district to the crossroads,
Oh, that's
here,
helpful.
and then make your way down into High Spire. Make a perception check, whoever is looking out for this, which can be everybody, doesn't matter to me.
What's perception?
And Prudence says, well, if Shigun here
What
can't
are
get
my
in,
rolls?
if Shigun here can't get in, then perhaps I could go on my own and not let them know that we're associated. Let's see. That's a 2. Man, this is a great road. It's just the dust is staying down. It's nice and hard packed. Prudence,
okay.
Shigun, and Rurik, actually. As you're making your way through the High Spire district, you do see the castle up in the distance, and finding what appears to be the Fate's Draw was not very difficult. It's a very large building. You see, it's a 3-story structure. There are actually there's red draperies on the outside of the building, and up along above the entrance, you can see a sign that is it's a hand clasping a deck of cards holding 3 aces.
Sounds like my kind of place.
It is a relatively loud establishment. This is getting towards the evening. The lights and the smells and the sounds coming out of it indicate that this is perhaps a very popular location for the gentry who live in the High Spire district.
Well, let's hope we can secure a room tonight at least. The place is busy.
Okay, so as you the sign is troubling. All right, and he Prudence takes a look and gives you guys a look. Doesn't say anything, but gives you guys a look that indicates that he's perhaps a little concerned. You make your way into the Fate's Draw. There's a pair of double doors which are currently closed, but they don't have handles. Actually, they just push in, almost like a saloon, but a full-size door. And as you push the door open, you're just assaulted by the sound and the smells, and I really wish I had a soundtrack for this, but I don't. The sounds and the smells of a very tightly packed tavern spread out across. There's many tables, all of which have some kind of tablecloth and alternating red and white colors. On most of these tables, people are dining, talking. On some other tables, people appear to be playing games of chance. There's a couple of people using cards, a couple of people rolling dice. Yes, in fact, the tavern itself goes all the way up to the top of the establishment. It's the full 3 levels, all the way up to the roof. And there are 2 balconies that wrap around the inside of the building on each level above.
I assume this building is also an inn.
Are all the are all the floors visible from the ground?
That you know of, yes. You can see all 3 floors from the inside.
Okay, it's one of those style buildings. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You do see as you look up, there's doors lining. This is definitely like one of those hotels that has a pool in the middle that looks down, like that, but with a roof over it.
Right.
And you can
Sounds
see
nice.
in the corners of each room there are stairs that go up to each level. The bar of the room is actually the entrance. If the entrance is in the center, you walk in. The bar is to the very far right. Okay. Prudence says, I think one of you two, gesturing at Rurik and Shigun, might be a better choice to find a room for us. I would say no more than 5 gold if we can avoid it. And you do actually have a little bit of difficulty hearing him over the sound, but he does pitch his voice in such a way that you can hear him.
I'd perform, but it's getting rather late.
Make a quick perception check.
Who?
Zook, sorry.
Specifically me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My rolls are not good.
Don't worry, it wasn't a high DC anyway. As you glance around, you are able to see a number of uniformed servers, some of whom are running games of chance, but some of whom are also performing in some way. There's a number of people carrying instruments around. There are a number of people interacting with the guests here. So this is definitely an establishment that has entertainment under their own roof.
Oh, okay. It's like a staffed establishment. It's not like an open comedy club. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You probably wouldn't be able to get much performing here anyway.
I'm gonna look for the innkeep and see if we can secure us a room.
Okay.
I shall look.
If you
It's definitely a big city vibe.
you make your way over to the bar. So the one bar that's in the room is at the very far right side of the room. You make your way over to the bar, and you can see there are actually 3 barkeeps behind the bar, 2 women and a man. Excuse me. And the bar itself is relatively packed. You do kind of have to do that thing where you stand behind people and wait for somebody else to move so you can sort of shove your way in. Who's going up to the bar? Or who's looking for the innkeep, I should say?
It's me, Shigun.
Shigun? Okay.
I'm hoping
Okay.
he sheathed his sword first.
I will assume that unless specified otherwise, you all have your weapons away.
Yeah, I assumed that as well.
Oh, yes.
So, interestingly, in stark contrast to your experience in Darnek, all of you walked in with your weapons, and Prudence being Prudence, nobody seems to have noticed. Even people have looked your way, but they went back to what they were doing. You get the idea that this is sort of a pretty diverse area. So Shigun, you get up to the bar, and the young woman serving, just a minute, and she goes off, and you can see her making drinks for some other patrons, and she comes back to you. Yes, what can I get for you, sir?
I'd like to secure lodgings for myself and my 3 companions.
Oh, yes. And she actually pulls a notebook, a small, like, hand notebook out of her pocket, and I have sound effects for this. Let's see, how many people will be staying with us tonight?
4 total.
4 in total. Alright, would you like, let us take a look. Well, I actually have 4 rooms available. If you'd like, for the evening, we can get you all 4 of them for 6 gold pieces in total.
Okay.
Or if you would like, if you are comfortable, we do have slightly larger rooms with 2 beds apiece, and that will be 4 gold in total for the night.
We can take the larger rooms with 2 beds apiece for the 4 gold.
Very well. Let me get those for you. And she scutters off into a back room behind the bar. It takes a couple of minutes. All right. Prudence, can you make a perception check for me? Had that one ready. Okay. As you're looking around, I will, for the purpose of this, why don't you go ahead and make a perception check for Prudence as well?
Oh, you
Because
mean deer?
Sorry, for deer, excuse me. Because you did mention that she's looking around independently. Okay.
Probably better.
So you two are keeping an eye out. You don't notice anything in particular. You are relatively new to this environment. This is a slightly more social environment than you're used to in general. Nothing in particular catches your eye from where you're standing. I assume you're just behind Shigun at the bar. Nothing in particular catches your eye. There are a lot of people around, but nobody really seems to be on edge. Nobody seems to be ignored or trying to be ignored. Shigun, the young woman, comes back. Yes, here, and she places 2 keys. Places 2 keys on the bar in front of you, and that'll be 4 gold, please.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and give her 5 total, and she can keep the change as a tip.
And she gladly takes the gold. Thank you very much, sir. And will you be having any food or drink with us this evening?
What do you think, Prudence, Rurik? You guys hungry?
I would happily take a hearty meal.
Okay. Prudence will opt to eat for very cheap. Prudence says, I'll have something inexpensive if you'd like, if you have it.
Well, they're
The young
bound to
woman,
offer. Sorry, continue.
the young woman sort of pops her head around Shigun. Yes, we do have different options available if that's something you're looking for. For the lot of you. And then, sorry, Zook, you were saying something?
They're bound to have, like, better offerings than that
The other bar
much
in
smaller tavern
California.
back in the weird town with the bugs.
Alrighty.
That's the name. I should really remember names of towns.
So we do have 2 meals prepared at the moment. We have a sort of chicken dish, very fresh, very lean, definitely prepared the way that most of us like it here. That'll run you about 5 silver pieces a plate. For your friend over there, she nods at Prudence. We do have, I think we might have perhaps a bread and corn, maybe some greens if you'd like. That'll run him about a silver piece at the most. I can ask the cook if he can think of anything else. Alright, let me get that in for you.
I'm fine with chicken. What about you?
That sounds great.
I'm also fine with chicken.
Okay, so she pulls out her notebook, scribbles down, alright, so 3, so that'll be 16 silver pieces, please. And she looks expectantly at all of you.
I assume we're all paying individually.
I could cover the coin right now, and we can split up the difference later. So I'll go ahead and give her 2 gold pieces, and she can keep the rest of that change.
Okay, so Prudence, you go to take a silver piece out, and was that Shigun speaking?
Yes.
Okay, Shigun places another 2 gold, excuse me, on the table. Prepare 2 gold pieces for the bed. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the beds have already been paid for, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
Shigun took care of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
if the rest of the party wants to, give me a little bit back, they can do that. I'm fine with whatever they want to do.
Okay.
Whatever makes them feel best.
Alright, so you actually just hand the 2 gold to Shigun for the room. I'll get that in for you. It'll be about 10-15 minutes, alright?
Sounds good, thank you.
Alright.
Thank you so much.
She scuttles off. There are a couple of people behind you sort of making their presence known. Not impatiently, but making their presence known that they'd like to get to the bar.
Alright, I'll step aside and I nod to them, letting them know they can go.
I shuffle away and do my best, as short as I am, to cast a wary eye for an available table.
Okay. As best you can. Yeah, Prudence and Rurik, make perception checks for me.
I might as well also look for tables.
Okay. I'm thinking
See,
the
my
die
plan
box.
is to get all my bad rolls out of the way.
Right. So Rurik, without any criteria, you do spy a couple of clumped seats available, groups of 4 here and there, at various places around the inn. Prudence, you in particular are looking for one of the higher tables. There are a few. They're all around the outside of the room. You do see one it appears to seat 6. There's currently 1 person sitting at it. On the far side of the bar, far side of the bar area, tavern from the bar. Okay, so as you're looking around, you make note of it, but you don't actually say anything. But Rurik, you do spot a couple of otherwise spaces that you can take up. There are a few round tables, there are a few longer tables that can seat probably 10 or more. And there are various places around this bar where you could sit 4 or more people next to each other.
Is there one that is empty that can seat 4?
There are no empty tables. All the tables have at least one person, 1 to 2 people at them. You do also spot the high top table as well. It could seat, they probably, in your estimation, can seat about 6, but there's currently 1 person sitting at it.
I personally don't mind a neighbor, but
And Zook, you do notice a couple of those areas just right around you. You can't look very far because you're small, but okay. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you, Rurik.
no, I was just saying I don't necessarily mind a neighbor, but I don't see any places that we might sit alone.
Right,
Please forgive my sniffling and other terrible noises. I've had a lot of congestion lately.
All right. So is there anywhere that you guys would like to make temporary camp in the bar?
Did the thing update with Prudence's latest thing?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Sit at a table, then I guess we're doing.
We can sit at one of the higher tables. I mean, I can try to sit at one of the higher tables.
All right.
It might look a bit comical, but I'll do it.
So you all approach the high top table. You do. It does take a little bit of effort to get across the room. There are a lot of people between you and there, but you do eventually make your way over, and you get up to this individual. It's human male. He actually has his head down on the table, and as you approach, he doesn't move.
Maybe he's drunk.
I'll not disturb him.
Okay. You, looking at this individual, you don't have any cues about whether they're looking for conversation or not, as their head is down on the table. So in that case, you just kind of slip into a chair, one away from him. And sorry?
I will do my best to climb into a chair.
Okay. I mean, you're familiar with human furniture, so getting into the chair is not really a challenge for you. You're right. Your feet do stick out a little bit, and you do that little child kick thing, because the chair is taller than you are,
Yes.
in total. So
That's what I was figuring.
it takes a bit of effort, but you're used to human furniture. You've been traveling long enough to be familiar with it. As you're climbing up, you do make quite a bit of noise due to the armor you're wearing. And the man, what? Hey, who's that? Oh, it's, and he just, his head falls back onto the table.
I was going to
Deer kind
apologize
of
for-
flies away, and she goes up onto the second level and just kind of sits on the banister wrapping around the building.
As we walk
And then
to the
stays there.
table, I'm gonna glance around to see if I recognize anyone with nobility sigils, like on their shield or armor, specifically for anyone with the Tamarin symbol.
Okay, roll perception, and I'm sorry, Rurik, you said you were gonna say something?
Oh, I was as the person at the other table sort of was startled. I was going to make to apologize for waking him, but then he went back down, and I was oh okay.
So you go, oh, it's, oh, all right. All right, so Shigun, you take the seat. You take the seat at the wall, so you can look out across the tavern area. You do see a number of individuals that you would, just by the way they're carrying themselves and the way they're dressed, they're definitely nobility. You don't see any house crests, and you don't see anyone else wearing armor. This is you do see, as you're looking carefully, you do see a number of the servers are, they have a small pouch at their side, but otherwise you don't see any weapons, you don't see anybody wearing armor. The banners, there are a couple of banners coming down from the upper levels, and you do recognize them as the Wind Arch emblem within the kingdom of Sundi. So there is the noble symbol of Fandaulo on banners around, but you don't see any other nobility symbols. But there are definitely people here who are nobility.
Okay,
The castle was called Wind Arch, wasn't it?
I think so.
Correct.
Okay.
The Wind Arch family is one Shigun that you would be familiar with. They are a very well respected and very powerful family.
Okay, sounds good.
Might be able to petition them for aid.
Okay. So when you take a seat, it only takes you about 2 minutes or so at this point, so you have a little bit of time before your food will be getting to you. Is there anything you guys would like to discuss while you're here? Or anything else you'd like to look for?
I might like to practice a bit with my cards.
Okay. Yeah.
Prudence is broken.
Sorry? Oh. Did the
Prudence
thing
had
not...
a thing.
Refresh.
So dispersing knowledge.
Tactical using Greece. Okay.
Small talk.
This in particular, so I'm not going to do this in his voice, but he does explain his intent with using Greece, and that it was not his intent to trip you up, Rurik, but unfortunately the bandit captain had slightly better reflexes than you, and was able to get out of the Grease trap before you could get to him.
I understand that it was an unfortunate incident, but one we can all learn from.
Yep.
And thank you for not letting me die.
Yes. So you thank him, and he nods his head. Well, I trust that you'll do the same to me someday.
I shall try.
And I'm sorry, this is an irrelevant, not D&D related aside, but I just noticed that Prudence's Discord status message is a reference to Watership Down, and I think that's wonderful. Anyway, so Zook, go ahead. So you take out your cards and you start shuffling them. You start performing various tricks, flipping them around your hands, making some of them disappear. Go ahead and roll performance for me.
I mean, I'm not doing this for anyone. I'm just practicing.
Yep, just to practice the hands. Okay. I mean, this is for practice, but this is just really to determine the types of things you're practicing. So because of the low roll, you are practicing some things and you're making very deliberate motions. You're practicing a couple of tricks that you haven't done in a long time, or perhaps not done at all. So it's less for performance and more for you to just get used to the flow of the movements. Takes a silver coin and pays with it using Mage Hand. Was that supposed to be posted earlier, or is that...
No, he just now posted that.
I just don't know what you're paying for.
Oh, he plays with it.
Oh, plays. Sorry, I thought it said pays. I was like, what? You're playing with it. Okay. So you cast a Mage Hand and you flick a silver coin to it and start just rolling it along your fingers. Your Mage Hand fingers.
As we wait, I have something I would like to do.
Okay. At this point, you've got maybe a minute or two.
Oh. I take out the holy symbol that we picked up on our way out of the pack, and I start looking at it and trying to see if there's anything interesting or strange about it.
Okay. I did do this out of game with
Right.
Prudence because I accidentally misread the way detect magic works. He did detect there was some kind of abjuration magic surrounding it. Detect magic can't tell you what kind, but it is from the school of abjuration. And as you examine this symbol, you do notice a number of etchings along the backside. The symbol is mostly a standard holy symbol of Pelor. It's the symbol of the sun, in either gold or gold leaf of some kind wrapped around it, relatively intricately carved. Roll religion for me.
Let me bring up my sheet here. Where's that at? The ones that are marked, I have a proficiency bonus in, right?
Correct. If you're using the spreadsheet, the PDF that I gave you, if it's marked, it already adds your proficiency bonus.
Oh, it already adds it?
Mhm.
So I'm basically just looking at the numbers that are listed for
Yes.
to what to add. Oh,
Yep,
okay.
the numbers that are there, that's the only number you need. If
Oh,
you
right,
weren't
that's-
using mine, then that would be a different story. But the one that I did automatically calculates it for you.
Excellent, thank you. So that's just a flat 3 then. Ooh, that's not very good.
Okay, you're looking this over. You do see the sigils along the back. You do recognize them as this is your religion. It is a quote. It's a passage from your holy book. That it is essentially translated into common would mean be free of the ills of the world. Apart from that, you don't really recognize this in particular being of any import to your religion. One of the nice things about 5th edition is if you'd like to take a short rest at a later time, you can take your short rest and work with the piece, and then that will help you identify the basic properties of it.
I will duly noted.
So at this point, as you're rolling the symbol around in your hand, there's one of the servers walks by your table, looks at the man at the table, and looks at the group of you, and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you being served?"
I think he's had a little too much to drink. He's not with us though.
I understand. Certainly, I will see about getting him to wherever he belongs. Is there anything I can get for you while I'm... And then Prudence actually interrupts and says, "Yes, we actually are waiting on some food from the bar." And he says, "Right away." And he sort of makes a note of your appearances. And you say, I would also like a water if you could get that. He says, "Absolutely, my good sir." And he... Sorry?
I would love a flagon of your finest ale, sir.
I imagine it's pretty easy to identify us as a group.
And he does chuckle and he says, "Yes, well," he motions to the rest of the room. "I will say you stand out, sirs, but it's not in a bad way. Makes my job much easier. So water for you, ale, you said?
Yes, please.
Very well. I will make sure to get that for you. And you are all waiting on food, is that right?"
Yes, and I'll take an ale as well, please.
"So 2 ales. All right." And he nods. "Of course it is. Of course. I will be right back." And
I
he
would
sort
hope
of...
that we don't stand out in a bad way.
And he scuttles off into the
That's what my
crowd.
suit is for.
And he comes back in about a minute. He has the 4 plates, as you do with the waiters, and he sets them down at the table. Not in any particular order. Since he didn't take the order, he doesn't know who ordered what. And I'll be back with your drinks. Points to the 2 of you. I believe it was Rurik and Shigun that asked for ale. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so he points to the 2 of you. He says the ale will be 5 copper pieces. But you can give that to me when I get back. And he scurries off again.
All right.
And as he's turning, Prudence, you take your mage hand holding the silver coin and actually zoop, bring it in front of him so it stops him as he goes, and you're just sort of dangling the silver coin. He looks back at you. He can see that you're controlling the mage hand because mage hand is analogous to your real hand. Thank you, and he takes the coin and scurries away. He comes back with the two flagons of ale, relatively large flagons, just right on the table. Well, that'll be 5 copper apiece.
I will go ahead and give him a silver for mine. That way he can take that one.
I shall do the same with the silver as well.
Okay. So initially he takes the
just
silver
rolling,
from
aren't
Shigun
you?
and begins to turn away, and you sort of tap the table with your silver coin. He turns back, and he takes that as well. And thank you very much. If there's anything else I can get you, just holler, and I will come running.
Well, thank you, sir.
And he scuttles away. Young man, now that you know what he looks like, you cast a glance around the room. He's pretty easy to find. So you guys dig into your meals, you dig into your drink. Is there anything else you'd like to do while you're here? Oh, sorry. And he also brings the water for Prudence. He comes back a third time. He says, I am so sorry, sir. And he places a very fine wine glass, actually filled with water, and places it on the table, nods and scurries away. Comes back about a minute later with two of the larger servers. You can see both of them are the ones that have the small pouch at their side. They take the other patron by both arms. What's that? No, I'm alright. And they start dragging him away. And you can see a little bit of drool is left on the table.
I almost feel a little bit bad for the guy. We kind of kicked him out of his little resting spot.
And you see as he's being pulled away, they do bring him up the stairs to a room, so they don't throw him out.
That's good at least. I would have been most displeased had we displaced him violently.
Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine he'd have little difficulty finding somewhere to rest his head.
All right. So while you're here,
Flat surfaces are quite common in cities.
okay. So occasionally, Prudence, with your mage hand, you send up a little bit of bread up to Deer, who graciously accepts it and just making noises as you do, just imitating the sounds of the locks of the doors clicking.
I have no other plans for now. I'm content to rest the remainder of the night.
Same.
Okay.
I as well.
Alrighty. Excuse me. Let me... So, as you guys are finishing up your meal, Zook, you, finish your meal. You actually finish your meal the fastest out of all of them. Because, unfortunately, you were given a kid's meal in Darnak and have eaten less than the others. So,
Why do people keep doing this to me?
You finish your meal and you start, you pull out your cards and you start playing with them a little bit. A patron sitting at a table, probably about a table away, on the other side of a table, looks over. He watches you for a bit, sort of taps one of the servers on the shoulder, nods, and that server, another young man, different young man, says, "It looks like you're very handy with cards. Would you perhaps like to partake in a game of chance with some of our dealers?"
What is the nature of this game?
That unfortunately I'm not familiar with, but you can... He points out 3 different tables. They're each playing 3 different card games. You can ask them. I believe one of them is called Three Dragon Ante, but I'm not familiar with the rules.
I would prefer to stay with my group
Very well,
at
sir.
this table.
And he sort of walks off. Prudence, what was that check for? Or was it just to see? Oh, portent for the long rest. Okay. So... Yeah, so if any of you are... if you guys don't have anything else to do, you finish your meal, the server comes back. Thank you very much, sirs, and you have a wonderful evening. Takes the plates and the mugs away, the flagons away. You make your way up. The keys are stamped with. Interestingly, for not a dwarven town, the keys are stamped with dwarven numbers. You make your way up to the 3rd floor. There are 2 rooms. They're not next to each other, but there's 1 room between. But it's not the worst arrangement you could find. You each go into your associated rooms, and you have a long rest. So for the purposes of long rest, just a reminder, health goes up to full, you get all your spell slots back. If you expended any hit dice during the short rest, you get half of those back. Half of your maximum hit dice, which is out of 2, you get 1 hit die back. Prudence rolled for his portent. So he has a 13 and a 17 that he can just decide are real, decide are reality.
How many hit dice do we get?
You're level 2, so you have 2 in total. If you expended both, you get up to 1 back. You get half your hit dice rounded down, back, or rounded up rather, back.
Like, do you just gain a hit die, or do you gain back?
Gain back if you expended one during the short rest. I don't believe you took the short rest because you were busy.
I didn't.
Looking for
Like,
ingredients.
right now, I have access to 2 D8 and hit die, so I wouldn't get a 3rd one, correct?
No. Your maximum hit dice is that's how many you have total. You can't go above that.
And that's dictated by your level.
Correct. It's dictated by the total number of levels that you have in all of the classes.
Okay, so it's synonymous with level. Gotcha.
In this particular case, think of it as like a consumable in a strange sort of way.
Right.
Like you use one to heal up, and then now you gain it back. But I think you're back at 2 now since you did not use it.
Yeah, I haven't used any of mine, so I just.
You're at 2 now after this long rest.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe, Zook, since you used 2, you have 1 of your hit dice back.
Yep.
At your next long rest, you'll get the other back.
I used
Okay.
1, so I'm back up to 2.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah, so you're back up as well, yeah.
Do I want to change any of my prepared spells? I don't think so. I think I'm good as is.
Yes, so... Yeah, that would be a question for Rurik. If you want to change out any of your spells, now would be the time. I don't know what you would want to not learn, but... also, for ritual casting, because I just, for reference, because I know Prudence has done a couple of ritual casting, clerics can only ritual cast spells they have prepared for the day.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay, whereas wizards can...
If I wanted to use Detect Magic as a ritual, I would still have to have it prepared, and it would still take 10 minutes to cast.
Correct. Detect Magic, Identify, any of those, if you wanted to use them, you'd have to have them prepared.
I have access to Identify?
I actually don't remember what level it is.
I don't think it was among the stuff that I recall seeing.
Let me check.
Clerics
the
definitely have
details
Identify.
Of the Identify.
It is moderately
the
pricey.
spell. Looking for spells. Spells.
Cleric spells.
Identify is first level, but it
yeah.
also costs like 100 gold pieces.
Right, it is quite
Of-
pricey.
it costs that much in materials to use?
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to have
Boy.
I believe it's a pearl
Yep.
worth 100 gold. That is, I believe, consumed by the spell.
Gotcha. On the note of consumables, there's actually something that I would like to obtain at some point, if possible. But we can do that whenever we happen to locate a shop that might deal in what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Also, it doesn't look like it's available for
It's knowledge domain cleric specifically,
yeah.
or Arcana, because Arcana domain clerics just get the wizard spell list. But
Oh, if it's for then if it might not be available to me as the life domain then.
Yeah,
no, not with without another feat, another
Does not appear
feature
to be.
that might give you that. So for those of you, everybody else, you've woken up. You weren't disturbed in the night. So my mistake. The pearl itself is not consumed per sage advice. So I thought if there was a cost associated, then it was just automatically consumed. But I am mistaken. So you do have to have a pearl either on you, or as Prudence mentioned, sometimes temples will have material components available for essentially lease. So you wake up, you're undisturbed. It's the sun is shining. It's probably early morning, early to mid morning. And as you are coming to wakefulness, there's a knock at both of your doors.
Is there now?
Get up and answer it then.
Okay. You open the door. There's yet another server holding a plate with various breakfast foods on it. And it says, for compliments of the establishment, he hands you a plate, notices there's a second person in the room, and says, I will be back shortly with another. And he does this at both rooms, brings a breakfast to both of the rooms.
I will tip him a silver piece.
Generous today, aren't we? He takes it, tucks it into his shirt pocket. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. He doesn't seem off-put by the fact that Prudence doesn't tip. It's just very grateful the fact that some of you did. So, you've woken up. Is there anything you'd like to do?
Eat.
While you...
Sorry, I just...
So, you take the plate and you just start chowing down right on your bed. There's food going everywhere. It's a sight.
It's
this is my punishment.
I think we should go over the objectives before us and ascertain which might be the most prudent to attempt to go after.
Yes.
Okay, so are you discussing this in the hall, in one of the rooms, in the bar?
I think we should do it in one of our 2 rooms.
Yes, I believe we should meet
Yep.
in a room.
Yes.
For privacy.
Okay. So you pick one of the rooms at random and are grouped together in there.
So our objectives.
And I don't want to interrupt. Prudence, you survey the town as you mentioned earlier. I don't think I spotted that. How would you like to be surveying the town? Oh, take a look at the town out of the nearest window. I see. Okay. Gotcha. I just had to scroll up a little bit. As you guys are talking, Prudence, make perception. Zook, you were saying something?
According to the information in the packet, our objectives are to obtain a document of passage into Dullstrand, a letter of authority granting unrestricted passage throughout Sundi, and any info about House Tarmyran.
Okay. So, as you guys are talking, Prudence looks out the window. From your perspective, the side of the building that your window is on, fortunately, you actually have a very good view of the High Spire and Westgate districts. You're right about here, looking that way. And you spot a couple of interesting buildings. From where you can see, you do see the castle. If you sort of lean out the window, you can see the castle out to your left. You do see a relatively high, round tower made of what appears to be some kind of opalite. Like, it's kind of shimmering as you look out into the distance. And you see a couple of clearings between buildings that you can mostly... you can see some people moving around in. You're not quite sure the nature, but there are a couple of open spaces between the buildings. You do also see a... so you see these two open spaces here. You do also see what looks like a dirt-packed area with people. They appear to be doing some kind of martial training. So, Zook has suggested your objectives.
I'm just looking at what's on the paper.
He's the
I'm
idea
thinking,
guy.
like,
There was
we
a
need to
couple-
get a document from someone, and a document from someone, and I'm not sure we have any leads about where to get those.
Well, I believe she made a marking on the map for a couple of different places. One of them is what appears to be out in the farmland, live with the name Laos.
Yep. So on the paper, right about here, there's a building on the farmland just outside the castle walls that says Laos with no other explanation. The other open spaces that I mentioned, do not have markings on the map for you. So as you're having
What's
this
that marking
discussion,
there?
Prudence just says, "Well, I think the travel documentation may be difficult without the help of the castle."
I think the castle might be the best bet to start.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Since, unless we're planning on jumping the wall in order to get around to this mysterious Laos person, would be to exit out of the west gate and then go around a third of the town. So,
And we can-
let's
we
head
can
to the castle.
Well, we could exit out the south gate to get there. That would be closer, but I do
Yeah,
think we should go to the castle first.
We would need to cross a river.
Yeah, per the map, there is no bridge within view.
And that would take a long ways to get across.
Yeah, the only way I see is going through the west gate and making a long trek all the way around. So, the castle's the closest, and I think that actually might be our best bet.
Guess we head to the castle then.
We could also attempt to gain entry into their library and see if we can find anything on the House Tamarin mod. I can never remember the name.
Tarmyran.
Tarmyran, thank you.
See if Shigun can gain his favor.
Right. Prudence is typing.
Oh, I forgot to edit my nickname. So I don't have that A in front of my name. There we go.
I'm looking for an Ember Heartshine.
So forever separated in the town, then I'll whistle to let you know where I am, like this. But much louder than that.
All right.
So as you finish up, you wrap up your meals, and make your way down. You return to the bar. There's another set of 3 barkeeps there, a different set of 3 barkeeps. They're
Just
each...
in the interest of humor, I was kind of picturing a bacon and eggs platter in a Holiday Inn room.
Sure. You've got a bacon and eggs platter in a Holiday Inn room. It's it's like when you get into the rooms, it's that cheap carpeting. Like the downstairs area is hardwood, like nice and well kept. When you get into the rooms, like you can tell where the money went, and it wasn't the rooms. So, you make your way out. You hand the keys back to the barkeep, who, as you hand them to, it's another quite much older man. Says, just the one night then.
For now, we're not sure how long we'll be in town for.
Very good then. He accepts the 2 keys and returns to his work. You make your way.
We can secure additional lodging as needed.
Yeah.
Okay. You make your way out of the inn, go down one of the roads. Now, as you're actually going towards the direction of the castle, you do pass by one of the courtyards that Prudence spotted earlier. You're about here on the map. You're right by the river, and you're making your way out. You pass through this courtyard. Here, you do notice that there are actually a number of shops around with signs in common. Just a smattering of different types of businesses, and there are a number of figures standing in the center of the courtyard with what appear to be very official-looking robes that are the color. They're a very deep maroon color with white undershirts. Nobody's really interacting with them, but they are there, and they're looking around. They don't appear to be taking any sort of hostile position, but they are there.
Would I have any knowledge of their garb or their affiliation based off of my knowledge as a guild artisan?
Yes, as a matter of fact. You recognize this as this is the Guild of Commerce, the Commerce Guild of the city of Fandaulo.
The many members of the Merchants Guild.
So this is the Commerce Guild. You do know from your time. Remind me which guild you're a part of. I think it's an Apothecaries Guild.
Alchemists and Apothecaries.
That's the one. You're an Alchemist and Apothecaries Guild member. You do know through your guild contacts that the Commerce Guild and the Federation of Free Trade are both based in Fandaulo, and they're both frequently at odds with each other.
So Rurik is a AA card holder.
I have connections.
It depends on where those connections are, though. You don't necessarily have connections with the Commerce Guild, but you know how guilds work because you're a member of one.
I was
Commerce
making
Guild.
a pun. It's like AAA.
Yes, but not quite. Like AAA, but not
it's
quite.
only 2 A's.
I was thinking AA, like Alcoholics Anonymous, because he's a dwarf.
Well,
I
Also
do
true.
like me some ale.
you know what? That's possibly a better pun.
So I will ask, because of what Prudence is looking for, are you guys going to stay together, or are you going to split up at this point?
Well, it seems like we're all heading towards the castle.
Okay. It's just, Prudence has mentioned a couple of objectives that either will diverge from that you can follow him, or you'd have to do separately.
I myself am also looking for a shop, specifically something that might sell jewelry.
Okay.
If they happen to be in the same shop as magic items, that would be cool too.
Alrighty, so since you happen to be making your way through this courtyard, go ahead, both of you make investigation checks.
quick question. You said it was the Commerce Guild and the Federation of Free Trade that were at odds against each other, correct?
Correct.
I'm planning to go with Shigun to the castle.
Okay.
What did you say to roll for?
Investigation. So to clarify, Rurik and Prudence are sticking around this courtyard where the marketplace seems to be. Shigun and Zook you're continuing on to the castle.
That's correct.
Alrighty.
Oh.
So I will tell you the results of both of those rolls, and then you can do some shopping once I do a little bit with Shigun and Zook.
Fair enough.
So Prudence, you're looking for the mundane items on your list there: crowbar, manacles, portable ram. You do find actually a shop that appears to be sort of central for not necessarily where the blacksmithing happens, but an outlet or a retail location for non-weaponized metal objects. And as excuse me, and let me consult my buyer's guide, aka player's handbook. As you make your way into this shop, you are able to find all of what you need. You do not see a portable ram, but you do find I believe, his other two items. As skimming the area, you don't immediately see any magic shops that are advertising magic items, but you do see a number of other shops that might be in the same genre, if you will. Rurik, unfortunately, because of your height and the number of people in this area, you're having somewhat of a hard time finding exactly what it is you're looking for. You are familiar with the town, and you do know how to talk to the people. And as a result of that, in your frustration, you end up actually walking to the people standing in the center of the courtyard. And one of them takes notice of you and says, "How is it that we can be of service to you, Master Dwarf?"
Thank you, my good sirs. I am in need of a jewelry shop. Do you happen to know if there's one in the vicinity?
Of course, sir. And he extends somewhat like a lanky, long hand, and with a hand with fingers that his hand doesn't peek out of the robe. It's just his finger, and he points across the courtyard. You will find a jeweler at that side of the courtyard. I believe he goes by the name of Kandal these days. But he is one of our licensed jewelers. You may also be interested. And he extends a hand to one of the stores a couple shops down from the jeweler he spotted. A purveyor of fine metallurgy. You may be, if you're looking perhaps for a circlet of some kind, that may be the place to go.
Do you have
and so just to be clear, this is Candle the Gemmer? Candle Gemmer?
Kandal the jeweler.
I'm trying to make a pun. It's not a good pun. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I ask for further clarification as to which might be more suitable to obtain rings from.
Oh, well, that will be the metallurgist's shop then. And he
Excellent.
sort of nudges one of the people standing next to him and mutters something into their ear, and they discuss a little bit. The metallurgist's name is Khan.
Khan. Excellent. Thank you very much for your information, my good sirs. And I shall head off in that direction.
Okay. So you make your way over there. Prudence, you are in the store for your manacles and your crowbar. Da-da-da-da-da.
What an odd shopping list.
Right. You get into this store. There's like pickaxes, crowbars, hammers, like building supplies along one wall, and in the center of the room there's just a giant spool of chain probably about 4 feet across. This is huge. And on top of the spool is a set of what appear to be manacle halves. And as you make your way in, you inquire about the crowbar. The crowbar will be available to you for 2 gold pieces. And as you inquire about the manacles, the man at the counter, who I don't want to make a voice for, so I won't, says that we can make a 2-point manacle or a 4-point manacle, gesturing at the chain. 2-point manacle is pretty standard. That'll run you about 2 gold. 4-point for the time, you're looking at about 5 gold, but that'll get all of her hands and legs if you need them. Okay, 2-point is fine. Alrighty, give me a second. Takes him a minute just to unwind some of the chain. He breaks it off and fashions the manacles for you. They just sort of screw together. He hands them to you. So that's the 2 gold. And I will get back to this once because we don't have a whole lot of time, so we'll get back to you for Shigun and Zook. Shigun and Zook, you make your way out of the courtyard, make your way down relatively large walkway to the castle. Now the castle itself, just like the gates on the outside of town, the castle gates, relatively simple, just 2 large wooden doors that are open. People are passing in and out freely of the castle gates. You walk into the courtyard. The courtyard is relatively plain. Well-cultivated lawns. You see a garden along one wall. From where you are, let me actually bring this up to the camera so you can see what the castle looks like. So, because of where you enter, from this section up here, you're able to see this front side of the castle, and you see in the back here, covered by the name of course, are 2 towers that rise up about 80 feet or so. And then the main portion of the castle is in front of you. As you walk up, let me flip to the castle page. As you walk up to the castle, you see the castle doors themselves are closed, but there's 2 guards standing on either side of the doors, and as you approach, they stand up a little bit straighter. They don't say anything; they just let you know that they saw you.
I'm going to approach the guards.
Okay, you're a bit far from the mic, but I did hear you're approaching the guards.
Yeah. Hail and well met. I am Shigun of House Fortemps.
Well met, sir. What is it we can do for you?
Well, I was wondering if perhaps I might be able to procure access to your library. I'm doing a little bit of research.
Do you have business with the castle? Has this been pre-approved?
Well, I am on business from House Fortemps, but if I could secure maybe audience with your Lord and Master, I might be able to get that arranged.
Make a persuasion check for me.
Okay.
If anyone asks, I'm the jester.
Oh man.
They do note. They do glance down, and one of them raises an eyebrow at the way that you're dressed. It's a... Okay, yep, so Prudence has decided to make that a 13 instead. Technically, I'll allow it this time. Technically, if once it's been rolled, portent can't be used, but fine. I'll let it be this time. The guard that you were speaking to says, yes, so Shigun, absolutely. He opens the door for you. I understand that perhaps the lower folk are not made privy to your workings. If you'd like to enter and wait, we should have... William should be along to bring you wherever you'd like to go, sir.
William, is it? Thank you. I have no problem waiting.
I'm sorry?
William, is it? Thank you. I will wait for him then.
Very good. And as both of you walk in, the the guard that corked an eyebrow at Zook actually he does take notice of you as you go by, and you can hear one of them say something to the other, and they both chuckle as the doors close behind them. So you're now in what is essentially a large entry courtroom. There are stained glass windows, actually, along the right-hand wall, and to the left... I lied, I got that backwards. Along the left-hand wall, and to the right, you can see a pair of hallways branching off from either corner. There's a number of individuals actually standing in this area. There's a fine red carpet in the center of the room, and you can hear low chatter coming from just the various groups of definitely higher class nobles discussing various topics. About a minute rolls by, and then an older gentleman, mostly bald on top, a couple of wisps of white hair. But what sticks out to you is that he has an extremely large, bushy white mustache that almost obscures his entire mouth. And he walks up. You can see he's wearing a relatively simple but well kept up reddish maroon robes. There's a blue sash running from one shoulder to his hip. Hello. You must be Shigun, is it? What business is it of you that brings you here?
I love this voice. Oh my god.
Well, Sir William,
Definitely not Sir, my lord. Just William. William DePreet, if you please.
Very well, if that pleases you then. Well, William, I've been traveling under the name of my house for some time, and I'm investigating potential dealings with House Cameron. Are you familiar with that house?
Of course. They take care of the raffle. Excuse me, let me try that one again. They take care of the rabble in our lands. They keep us safe.
I see. Ember, what was the name of the village we came from, the hamlet?
Darnak.
Darnak, okay. Well, we recently came from Darnak, and there was some strange activity coming from the lake there, from one of their ships. I was wondering if perhaps maybe you knew something about it.
I know that we send the prisoners south, and from there, it's out of my knowledge, but I can see if perhaps the peacekeeper knows more about it.
Okay. Well, that would be most useful indeed. There's also a couple other matters I wish to discuss with you as well, if you have time.
What would that be?
Well, I'm wondering what steps we might be able to take to procure a document of passage that will grant us access to Dolstrand.
Dolstrand? What on earth would you like to go there for? Filthy mountain savages.
Well, let's just say we're doing some investigation from a client of ours.
Certainly you, from your house, you must know someone. You see him. He scratches at where his hair used to be. He sort of twirls one of the wisps of his hair in a finger. Perhaps the Lord might be. Oh no, he's not. You see him think another for a moment. Tell me, how old is your family? Your family in particular is I believe you discussed a relatively young house, but they predate the Greyhawk Wars, which were about 5 years ago.
Okay. So maybe like 25-ish?
A generation or two.
Okay.
Up to you.
We're a fairly newish house, about going on 30, 31 years now.
Well, where's my notes? Okay. Well, I tell you what, why don't I fetch the Peacekeeper for you, and then perhaps he might know a little bit more about Passage or Dolstrand.
Very good then, William.
And he nods, notices for the first time your gnomish companion.
That's right, he is here.
It's not often that we have people bringing their own entertainment, but I must say, you've chosen well, my lord. and at that, he spins on his heel and walks away down into one of the hallways to the right.
I kind of look down at Zook and smirk and shrug my shoulders a little bit, like, you know.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, going to plan.
Let's shift over. I will shift over to Prudence and Rurik, and then that'll be it for the night, because we're going on 9, and I know some of you are watching some stream or other. I don't know. I will go over to Rurik because you had the least progress in your activities.
Oh, I thought we were doing 3-hour sessions.
Am I timing it wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. 7, not. We started at 7, not 6. I keep getting this group and the Monday group mixed up because the Monday group starts at 6.
But we've
Sorry.
just an hour left.
9 at our time.
We have about an hour and some change left.
You're right. Sorry, my mistake. I
Unless
get
you
the
needed
times
to
mixed
cut
up.
early for something, which is fine.
I don't. So, because it's
Okay.
Friday night.
Huzzah!
It's fanfic night.
Either way, let's move over to Prudence and Rurik.
Yes.
While I look up the stuff for Prudence, Rurik, you said, were you going to be going to the metallurgist?
Yes. Yes, I was going to the metallurgist.
Who was called? I don't
Khan.
remember what. Khan, that's the one. So you go to the metallurgy shop. You walk up to the store, and it's a jewelry shop for sure. There's a display case towards the front of the store, along each wall. A relatively small establishment, probably only about 10 feet square. Pretty small place, but there are a number of display cases surrounding the room. There's no one in the store at the moment, but you do hear from the back room the sounds of metal, like grinding. You do hear grinding coming from the back room.
I have a very distinct sound effect playing in my head right now, thanks to 14. As I wait for them to potentially notice my presence, I look about the shop. I'm looking specifically for anything that might be made of platinum.
Platinum. Okay. Roll. It's a small place. Roll investigation for me.
So I believe that was
And I believe it was ball bearings you were looking for, Prince. Yes. Just shifting over to there for a second, because we're just about finished up in this transaction, I believe.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and finish Prudence's thing, that's fine.
Okay. That particular store does have some relatively rough ball bearings. They're definitely not the finest quality you've seen. And the gentleman offers a 10. Okay. The gentleman offers a relatively small pouch of ball bearings. They're about maybe a quarter of an inch. They're larger than some of the ball bearings you've seen before. You get the feeling this place is not particularly well known for their fine metalwork, more so their quantity over their quality. He offers you a small bag containing approximately 750 of these for 8 silver pieces. Okay, yeah, so you've bought the other 2 items. You ask him about a wizardry shop, somewhere that deals with the arcane. The man thinks for a minute. It's not really the kind of thing I work with. Try Try asking the guild masters out front. They might know a little bit more. Okay. So you walk out to the square, and you approach one of the guild masters. As you approach, for the first time in your entire time here, you do notice that they do have somewhat more of a reaction to your approach. One of them touches one of the other one on the arm, and they both turn to look at you, and they both turn to face you directly. Yes. And you say, hello, I am Prudence, a scholar and a professor of various subjects. If you'd like to know, if you could let me know if there's anything that's maybe interesting for the practice of wizardry or the arcane arts, that would be very helpful to me, please. The man, well, this plaza's more really for the mundane. If you'd like, you can perhaps head over to, let me get her name right. You could perhaps go to Elwea in the tower, and he points across, and the opalite tower structure that you'd noted from the window, that's where he's pointing. She might be able to help you a little bit more. The Commerce Guild does not deal in magical items. There's not enough profits, not enough people purchasing. But perhaps Elwea may be able to provide you with what you're really looking for. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I'm sorry for taking up your time. Oh, it's no trouble at all. And then you move somewhere visible, and you wait for Rurik. Rurik, you make your way into the metallurger's shop, the metallurger shop. Sorry,
Yes.
you're looking for the platinum, right?
Yes, I was looking at the platinum. I rolled a 10.
You notice a number of items that you're not an expert in metallurgy, but you do notice a number of items that are of a silver material, but are definitely not silver. After a moment, you hear the grinding stop, and a man comes from behind the curtain. You assume this to be Metallurger Khan. Oh, well, hello. I just don't think I heard you come in. Is there something that I can help you find? I don't get many of your kind here, but maybe perhaps for something for a loved one. And he starts shuffling over to one of the cases.
Hello and well met. I am traveling through the city, and I have need of something rather specific. Maybe not perchance for a loved one, but for a companion all the same. I am interested in locating 2 platinum rings. Is that something that you have or might be able to make?
Platinum rings. Well, platinum. That's not incredibly common, but
I understand it's a strange request, but I'm hoping you might be able to assist me.
Well, yes, certainly. Oops, if I can pull up the. Oh, yes, it's well. He shuffles through one of the cases, and you can see this is the ring case that he's shuffling through. He picks up a few. No, that's not. It's well. How pure does the platinum need to be? Because, I mean, there's a lot of electrum here, but he's shuffling through the pieces. You can hear a lot of them clinking against each other.
I'm not an expert in the material nor its appraised value. I'm specifically looking for something that would appraise for about 50 gold pieces each.
He stops. 50 gold pieces. That 50 gold won't get you a platinum ring, my friend. I'm sorry. He thinks for a moment. No, you're looking more. You're looking more up in the 4,000 gold range. 400 platinum pieces for a platinum ring. That sounds about right. Hold on a moment, and he shuffles back to the back room. You notice as he's going, relatively young man, but he is walking with a limp. It doesn't look like his leg's injured, but there's something going on with his leg. But you hear a couple of boxes being shifted around in the back, and he comes back. He's holding a pair of rings, and they're both sort of a dull. I want to make sure I get this one right, because I don't remember what color. I believe Electrum's green, but I want to make sure. Electrum color.
I always thought Electrum was yellow.
It's a pale yellow. So the two rings are a pale yellow, and you can see actually a very thin strip of silvery material that bands each of them. So, well, these are Electrum rings. These will run you about probably about 100 gold pieces for the set. There is a small inlay of platinum. I have been holding on to these for a long time, so I'm not sure how old these are when they were made, or who made them. Honestly, I don't remember making these.
Those might work for my purposes. Can I make an out-of-character question regarding mechanics?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would something of that nature satisfy a spell requirement that requires a platinum ring worth at least 50 GP?
What is the spell? I just want to make sure. I'm gonna give you
Warding Bond.
Warding...
Hey, Prudence knows exactly what I'm after.
Warding Bond. I believe so. That should be the platinum itself. Should get a connection between its fee plus one bonus to blah blah blah. I will say yes. The value of the platinum within these rings will satisfy that requirement. Yes.
Okay. When you said 4,000, I was like, "Oh shit! What am I getting into?"
It's platinum rings are expensive. I don't know why they priced them that low. The lowest cost platinum ring in any published material. Currently, the published material only has a jeweled platinum ring, which is 7,500 gold pieces.
Okay. See, when you mentioned 4,000. I was worried because the component for this spell is worth at least 50. I'm like, oh, okay, so they can't be that much more expensive.
Right, an alloy would satisfy that requirement.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
So we can move on. Yes, I believe those rings will satisfy my needs quite nicely.
Oh, very well then. And he reaches under the counter and produces two plain black ring boxes. Would you like a box for them? And make sure that they stay safe along the way for you and the special person you're getting this to.
Yes, that would be quite nice.
Very well. These boxes will just be an additional 10 gold apiece. Is that all right?
Those are some rather expensive boxes. Must be quite ornate.
These are the plainest boxes you've ever seen. They're just plain black ring boxes.
I think on second thought I will pass on the boxes.
Very well. And then it'll be 100 gold for the set. Did I say 100 gold apiece? My mistake.
Yeah, it was 100 for the... You said 100 for the set earlier.
There you go.
I have I do happen to have access to a number of materials that might be to your liking if you might be interested in possible bartering.
Well, what sort of thing are you looking at?
We have a small collection of gems from, I think that's lapis lazuli that was noted here. Lapis lazuli, obsidian, agate, and turquoise. Do any of those materials have any interest for you in your craft?
Let me just flip to the page where that is. You're looking at the lapis lazuli, the obsidian, and the
Yes.
moss agate. You did also have a
That's how it's pronounced.
yes. You did also have a turquoise as well.
Yes. There's a note here that equated up to 40 GP.
All 9 of them together were about 40 gold pieces.
Okay.
So you take out the gems and you show them to him. He thinks for a moment. He produces a small a small spyglass. I forget what they're called. A jeweler's glass. Fits it to his eye and holds out his hands. Takes one of the lapis and well, these do appear to be relatively well cut. And tell you what, I'll give these to you for, why don't we say 70 gold and the gems, and that'll be it.
I'm sorry. I might have misinterpreted how you said that. It was like the cost of the rings for 70 gold and the gems, or you're giving me 70 gold for the gems.
The base price of both the rings will be 100. We're looking at these gems. I don't really work with gems that much, but if I can find someone to buy them for me, it'd probably take about 30 gold off the price. So 70 in the gems, and that'll be even.
Hmm.
Bearing in mind there is a jeweler's shop 2 doors down.
Right. One more quick mechanics question.
Yep.
In finding the gems that are worth about 40 gold to our stuff, do we treat it and spend it as though it might be gold, or is that their potential appraised value?
So when you receive treasure that's worth X amount of gold, that's the appraised value if you find the right buyer.
Right. Okay.
More often than not, when it comes to things like bartering, they may offer you a little less, they may offer you a little more. It just depends on the person you're selling to, their specialty, that kind of thing.
Okay. Fair enough.
If you'd like to try and persuade him to knock a little more off the price, you're more than welcome to.
What does persuasion use?
Charisma.
Charisma. I have no charisma.
Persuasion is charisma.
You don't have a penalty, so.
No, I don't. Actually, I have proficiency in it apparently somehow. Oh, right, that's a guild artisan trait. Right.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, as a guild artisan, you have advantage on persuasion.
Well, I'm torn between whether trying to persuade him to give me more value for it, or if I should take them to the jeweler and might be able to get even more for it.
I make a perception check for deer. $13. I will say, given the amount of time that you spent in the store and the amount, I will say at this point, you will actually still be at the metalworking shop. He hasn't, because these things are happening in parallel, unless you sent out deer while you were in the store, but otherwise, a 13 unfortunately wouldn't be able to spot him through the window in the store. So, the Akon is sort of looking at you. Still has the jeweler's piece in his eye. Didn't really take it out. So one of his eyes is comically enlarged, and the other's normal.
I think I might hold on to the gems for now. Making mental note that there's specifically a jeweler across the way that I might visit and bring those to and see if I can get more for them.
Yeah, that's something that you were told by the guildmaster.
Right. Instead, I shall make a mention of keeping the gems on my own, and I would like to attempt to persuade to give a slightly better deal in gold pieces for the set of rings.
Okay. Go ahead and roll persuasion.
That was +2, I believe.
Yeah, if you only have the proficiency, that would be a +2. Because you have a no bonus in charisma. 15.
Yeah, that's all right.
So you take one of the rings in your hand and you turn it over. And as you look closely at the gem, you do see Khan is getting a little bit nervous. Your dwarven reputation, unfortunately, is working against him. And I tell you what, he goes and places a hand over the ring as if to shield it from you. Tell you what, why don't we say 80 gold, 85 gold, and one of those lapis, and then that'll be even.
I'd be good to do that, I believe.
Very well. He goes and he fetches a small drawstring pouch, just simple cloth drawstring pouch, places both of the rings inside. So that was the 85 gold and one of those semi-precious gems.
Yes, sir. I give him the 85 gold pieces and the nicest of the lapis lazuli that we have. As thank you for the discount.
Okay, yeah. So out of the three, or out of the two rather, I think you got two, right?
We had 3.
Or did I give you 3? I lied. I get you 3. So out of the 3, you sort of roll one of them over, and you note, because of the way they're constructed, because of the way lapis is formed, you notice that some of them have more character than others. Some of them have more speckles, and you hand him the one with the most speckled appearance. And thank you very much, sir. I hope to see you again, sir.
Okay. Right, thank you very much, sir. But before I leave, I wanted to ask you something. Sure. I noticed as you were shuffling around, you're placing a lot more weight on one of your legs than the other. Is something wrong with one of them? Are you all right?
He reaches back and actually touches part of his back. Well, it's just an old injury. I've had it since I was a kid, and so just something's wrong with my back, I guess. But well, you don't need to be able to run very far when you're working with gems and when you're crafting jewels. So that's just where I went.
So it's a injury that's been with you a long time.
Oh, yeah, I don't even recall not having it.
I don't know if it's something that I might be able to help with, but if you'll permit me, I would like to call upon my knowledge of the divine and offer a prayer upon Paylor in an attempt to grant you succor from your injury.
Let me
Do I have that spell?
stand for a second. What is it you're looking? What spell are you looking to
Oh,
cast?
Oh, I'm not looking for a specific.
Or is there a class feature?
That's a second level. Oh wait, that's a second level spell. Lesser Restoration is a second level spell, which I don't yet have access to.
Yes.
At this
Unfortunately.
point, I'm mostly trying to. This is mostly for flavor to see if it does anything. Just sort of like a.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this isn't. That's not. This type of magic is unfortunately slightly out of your domain.
Fair enough. What I was trying to do is potentially curry favor with Paylor in order to maybe grant him, maybe not necessarily heal his injury, but lessen his trouble with it.
Yeah. I mean that's. You don't have access to the feature yet until much later. It might possibly divine intervention, lesser restoration. It just depends on the application that we're looking at here.
Okay.
I might possibly have you do a ritual spellcasting check, but we haven't talked about those homebrew rules yet, so I won't throw that on you all of a sudden.
He at least expects some read. All right. In that case, I will save face here and simply state, I apologize. I was thinking that had your injury been more recent or more superficial, I might be able to assist with it. But it seems beyond my abilities to attempt to heal. I apologize.
No, don't worry. It's well, it couldn't have gotten any worse, right? So, for Tubo's blessings upon you.
Well, thank you. And Paylor's upon you as well.
So as
And
you
I shall exit the shop.
Okay.
I shall
So
exit the shop with rings in tow.
Okay. So as you leave the shop, you walk out of the square, and at this point, you spot Prudence across the courtyard, just sort of standing on his own. Deer is sort of flitting about, but okay. So Prudence comes up to you. Is there anything else that you guys are looking to do? Because I'm going to be shifting over to Shigun and Zook in a bit. Probably right about now.
Yes. Yes. Upon seeing Prudence, I give him a wave as I approach, and it's like, you are actually just the person I was hoping to run into. I fish for and hand him one of the rings and ask that if you could wear this and keep it on your person, that would be most useful for something I have planned in the future.
I was going to say you don't have access to that yet, but...
Oh, I know. This is all planning for the future.
So Prudence...
Well, if you don't necessarily have to wear it if you don't wish. I understand you might be against that, but I ask that you at least keep it on your person. It will help in being protective.
Okay. So Prudence kind of grumbles and fits it over one of his fingers, and as you're saying that he doesn't have to wear it, he just holds up his hand already wearing the ring.
We could also have the jewelry we got earlier appraised at this jewelry store that's nearby. If you'd like to go ahead and do that, or we can eschew that and go join the others at the castle or the tower. I think you said tower.
Well, he wants to go to Elwea's tower for magic items. The group is currently at Castle. The
Oh,
other
right,
two
that
are currently
tower.
at Castle Windarch. Yeah.
Sorry, I mistook tower for castle. My bad.
And he says, "Well,
I think so.
selling jewels sounds fun. If we have
Well,
enough time to visit the tower," he points a thumb over his shoulder. "If we have enough time to visit the tower after, certainly."
We can I can visit you with the tower. Yeah, I would imagine we would have time. There's still plenty of daylight left.
Yeah, it's only maybe just becoming noon at this point. It's like early, it's like late morning, but not a lot of time has been spent. So
Then we can head over to the jewelry shop that's nearby, make our business with appraising the gems, and then we can be off to the tower.
okay. So you make your way over there. Shigun and Zook, you're waiting for William to return.
I was zoned out of that entire shopping interaction, but I'll ask Rurik about it later.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine.
Well, you weren't even there too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way
So
he can't cheat by
It's
accident.
like, oh hey,
Yes.
the group split up. That means I'm allowed to just not pay attention.
I was guilty of that with Shigun and the William guy. The jeweler sounds racist.
So Shigun and Zook, you're waiting in this sort of entryway, and now I gotta flip back to the page because I flipped away for the treasure. Probably about 15 minutes goes by. Just enough where you're like, oh man, where did he go? But not enough that you're annoyed, you know? And soon enough, excuse me, soon enough, William comes back. Right this way, sirs. And he just turns and starts walking out towards one of the hallways to the left.
Alright, well, I will follow him.
Okay. You make your way through one of the hallways to the left. The hallway opens up and then turns to the left again, and you see at the end of the hall there's a series of doors. And he leads you up to one of them, opens the door, and gestures you to enter.
I'll go ahead and enter then. I'm assuming Zook is with me still, right?
I can't quite hear you.
Are you still with me, Zook?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you enter the door that William's offering, and he excuse me, he pokes his head into the room. As you go into the room, it's just a plain room. There's a couple of paintings on the wall. There's a desk in the middle of the room and a couple of chairs. Otherwise, it looks relatively unused. There's a small bookshelf on one side. William pokes his head in. I'm blanking on the person that you're. Peacekeeper. That's right. The Peacekeeper will be with you shortly. And he closes the door behind you.
Very good. Thank you.
It's not long. It's maybe 2 minutes before you hear a knock on the door.
Come in.
And in the pause, the door opens, and you see a relatively well-armored man. He's wearing what appears to be leather armor, but with a metallic chest plate. So the majority of his armor is leather. He just has a metallic chest plate with the emblem of Fandaulo emblazoned across the front. Similar to William, you do also see a blue sash running from his left shoulder down to his right side.
Okay.
Yeah, my voice is coming through your TV a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
It's just being
I'll turn
picked up
it
by the
down a
mic.
little bit.
So, he stands a little bit taller than you do, Shigun. He's got a very close-cut blonde hair, sort of ruddy, dark skin, couple of days worth of an unshaven beard. And he comes into the room. Hello, Peacekeeper Peacekeeper Ulrich. William said you were asking him some questions that he didn't really know the answer to. It's maybe something I can help you. And as he's talking, he notices the emblem on your shield. Certainly. I didn't realize that you were, one of us. What is it I can do for you?
Well, Ulrich, we're wondering if we could perhaps seek a document of passage that would grant us passage into the city of Dolstrand.
And as you mentioned Dolstrand, he crosses his arms and starts getting a little bit more defensive. Dolstrand, what's your interest? What's your family's interest in Dolstrand?
Well, we have some suspicions about House Tamarin, unfortunately, and
House Tamarin?
Yes,
They've only ever done good by us.
That's what I've been hearing, but there's been some ill rumors and some suspicious dealings going on in the hamlet of Darnak.
Darnak, huh?
Yes, sir.
Slowly, he paces over to one side of the room where you can see the small bookshelf. He pulls out one of the books and flips through it. Darnak. That piece of shit middle of nowhere? That Darnak?
Yes, sir. I'm hoping that perhaps maybe these rumors are nothing more than, hearsay, but I feel obligated to do investigations to make sure that there's no ill crimes afoot.
He snaps the book shut.
If my word's worth anything, that's my opinion, but I understand the worth of diligence.
He
that the rumors are bunk.
He I'll post a picture of this in the chat later, but he looks over at you, Zook. Are you sitting or standing? Just curiosity.
I'm standing.
You're standing. All right. Well, he as you start to speak, Ulrich sort of gets down on one knee. His knee's not quite touching the ground, but it's down, and you're about. He's still a little taller than you, but he's a lot closer to you, your height. What do you know about this?
Not all that much. Just what Shigun tells me, but he does tell me a fair bit.
He's rolling a couple of thoughts around in his head. Well, I mean, Tarmyran, they've been loyal to the Elven King since before he was the Elven King. But I don't deal with them directly. As peacekeeper, all I do is maintain order here in Fandaulo. Sometimes we have to send people out, but most of the time we can keep everything local. It's not very common where we have crimes so big and important that we have to get the crown involved, but you know what? Actually, he thinks for a second. Why don't I bring you downstairs? We've got a good collection of information that might be of interest to you.
All right.
So he stands back up and opens the door. It's very troubling. And as he's saying this, as you're walking, he turns down the hallway, and there's a set of stairs at the end of the hallway. It's a little troubling to me to hear that the folks over from the folks from Fandaulo, or from Tarmyran are having accusations. What are the nature of these accusations? And he just seems to be at a relative loss for words.
Well, during my time in Darnak, there was a ship that was passing by through the lake, hauling off some villagers, and I was speaking with a fellow traveler that I ran into there, and they have suspicions about where exactly their destination may be. From what I understand, they are allegedly prisoners but
I am. The last half of the sentence just kind of faded away into nothingness.
oh, sorry. I was describing the ship that we ran into and how they were hauling villagers away.
Oh, okay. They were hauling village. I mean, were they just villagers? Are they prisoners? I can't imagine that they'd just be taking people at random.
From what I've been able to gather, they are allegedly prisoners, but the head of the town, what was his name again? Merrick?
Merrick.
The head of the town, Merrick, he had his worries about it.
Merrick was... I don't know that name, but... You say this was, Sorry?
I wish to appear, like, generally discomfited at the notion that House Tarmyran might be taking, like, villagers as slaves or something. Like, no, they wouldn't do that.
Are you saying this or using body language?
No, I'm just sort of
Appearing
putting on, like, a facial expression, like, I don't like this idea that's being talked about. Ugh.
Okay.
But I don't say anything, because it's not really my station.
Alrighty. Trying to think about... Okay. Good to know. As you walk down, you get to the end of the hallway. You go down a very short spiral staircase. Goes down a level, and you see at the foot of the staircase is just a single massive room. Like, not high ceilinged by any means. This is definitely a basement room, but it's enormous, right? There are just rows upon rows upon rows of shelving that have books and tomes and scrolls and all sorts of information just stuffed into these shelves. Some of them have actually started to break slightly under the weight of the books and the contents of the shelving. As you get down to the bottom of the shelves, the bottom of the stairs, Ulrich turns to you and he turns to look in the room and kind of looks. There should be one of the servants around to help you find stuff, but I don't really see one. If you want to take a look, I have to get back to my duties, but if you'd like, there should be one of the stewards nearby.
Alright, thank you very much for your assistance, Ulrich. I'll see if perhaps maybe I can spot one of the stewards. Otherwise, I'm going to take a look around if that's okay.
Absolutely. I mean, you just don't take too long, you know?
Of course.
I know your family, but I don't know you, so...
I understand, and I would not want to get you in trouble. And I'm hoping these rumors with House Tamarin are merely rumors, but I feel obligated to investigate to make sure.
Sounds good. What was your name again?
Shigun of House Fortemps.
Well, Shigun of House Fortemps. I'll be back in a little bit, probably about an hour. If you haven't found what you're looking for, then I don't know if you'd be able to find it in here at all.
I understand. Thank you.
And he returns up the stairwell.
Should I make some sort of investigation roll or something for these bookshelves?
Okay. So what information are you looking for specifically?
I'm trying to gather information about House Talmiran's history. What, like, perhaps maybe they've anything useful I can get on them. You know, if they've had bad dealings in the past, or anything that seems like it doesn't make sense, or anything that stands out. Anything that would either prove or disprove any sort of nefariousness they might be doing.
I would also like to look for
You can...
this information.
Okay. Um,
I
Both
don't
of-
suppose they use Dewey Decimal.
um, both of you make investigation checks.
Okay.
Shigun with doesn't matter. I was gonna say with advantage, but it straight doesn't matter. You could not possibly have rolled better than that.
Nope.
So as you're working through these tomes, you do skim a couple of the nearby shelves, and you do spot a first described as a servant, later described as a steward, sort of cleaning up a pile of books. Cleaning up a pile of books in one small corner, and he looks up as soon as he hears your armor clanking. He says, "Oh, is there something that I can help you with?" And you describe what it is you're looking for, your information about Heartsong. And he says, "Well, the information about the houses. Termiron is a relatively major house. I'd say probably over." And he shuffles off as he's talking. So, and as he's walking, he's pulling some things down from the shelves and putting them into his hands. Yeah, it's not often that people ask about information over here. I mean, it's since the war, it's just everybody knows what needs to be known, and well, it's not. Well, there's a lot of stuff here. It's not very interesting to very many. And as he's rambling along, you make a perception check.
Okay.
Okay. Zook as well, yeah. Okay, so as you're wandering along, Shigun, you don't, but Zook, you notice you are actually walking in circles. You've definitely passed the same shelf that he's taken a book from and returned, probably about 3 times now.
That was a sound. Well, it's and it's not easy necessarily finding things in here either. That's why you need us. And he's sort of rambling along.
Perhaps you might have any books on Cameron before the wars.
And he stops. Before the wars? Well, if that's what you're looking for, that would be over here. He turns and starts going back the way that you came. And Zook, now that you're looking for this, you do notice once again, he's taking you in the same circle but backwards now.
Oh no.
And Shigun, because of your high investigation earlier, you actually, as you're walking, you have spotted a couple of books that have titles such as The Great Houses of Sundi and The Nobility of the Greyhawk Wars and things like that. And you can, if you'd like, you can grab those books as you're walking.
I'm going to do so.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to do so.
Okay. As you're walking, he doesn't seem to take any notice.
I think these books might be of assistance. Are there any tables or chairs that I might be able to use?
Oops, I gotta change something here because I completely forgot. Oh, well, I mean, we have a couple of workstations. Yeah, absolutely. I've already forgot the accent that I was using for this guy. Anyway, I slipped into William's accent for a second there. Yeah, there's definitely some workbenches over there. He nods down one of the spaces between the shelves, the aisles, and you can see all the way down. It's probably a good 50 feet away because the room's so big. There's a couple of tables with chairs around them.
Okay. I think I'm going to take the books that I find and head towards one of those workbenches.
Okay. If you need anything, I'll he starts following as you go. I'll just be right around the corner. You can just just come looking for me. I'll be there.
Of course, thank you.
And when you get to the the table there, one of the scrolls that he'd been sort of neurotically pulling and putting back on the shelf, he leaves at the table with you and goes to the next room.
Is he in earshot?
Make perception check. Another one.
Oof.
Why?
You hear him shuffle away. Once he's out of eyeshot, unfortunately, there's no localization. You don't hear him once he's out of eyeshot. So,
Well, let's look at the details on hand.
Shigun, as you read through these books, you flip open the first book titled "The Great Houses of Sundi." You notice that the the book begins roughly 2 years prior to the current date, so it's very new. The book itself feels like the paper is old, but the dates of everything only date back a couple of years, and as you're flipping through, you notice that pages have been torn out throughout
In
the book.
textbook companies.
And as you flip back to the front of the book and you're reading through the table of contents, and you notice that the pages that have been torn out are of houses that you would know from your background are no longer around. They may have formed briefly during or immediately after the Greyhawk Wars, but are no longer in Sundi or have influence in Sundi for one reason or another.
Keep making new editions, and they make them look all fancy, and then they're like, oh, you need to have this version of the book, and it's like,
Of note, you do not find House Termiren in this book.
Very unusual.
Is it noted in the table of contents or something? Actually, no, probably. It's not my position to say.
You are also not there, so.
Yeah, never mind.
Sorry, I try to avoid that.
Right. That was more me thinking aloud.
Right.
I will
no,
shut up.
Exactly.
Are any of the houses that I recognize in the table of contents that are missing from the book? Am I aware of anything that might have happened to these houses? Like, have they been dissolved or part of some sort of, controversy, anything like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The majority of the houses that have been removed, you can actually recall in your lifetime, because it was only the last couple of years, what happened to those houses. Some of them, following the secession from the Iron League, following the secession from the Southern Kingdom, rather, Sundi had a number of noble houses that were just immediately dissolved when the Ulven King declared himself king of Sundi and began reorganizing the nobility of the country. And many of these houses maintained influence, but they were forced to officially dissolve as a condition of remaining inside the country. Some of them chose not to and fled. Some others were killed. But the majority of some of the entries, you weren't the best student, but you do recognize the majority of the entries and do recall the incidents that led to them being torn from this particular book. You do note that your house is in there. It's a relatively short entry. It's not a large house, not been around for a long time.
I've had a thought.
Yep.
The just in case the guard is eavesdropping, I will do this under the pretense of like, oh, who is spreading these rumors? Do I know anything about any possible enemies of House Tarmarin?
Make a make a history check.
Yeah.
Why do you...
Wow.
Well, we have a book in front of us, so we can check the book.
Yeah, it's noble houses aren't really your specialty, fortunately.
Well, understandable for most of the formative periods of my life. I lived in a secret illusion village in the woods.
Right.
You also have notoriously terrible luck.
Yeah, for a gnome.
Today, yes.
Don't you have a racial trait that gives you luck or something? Or am I thinking of halflings? I'm thinking of halflings.
That's
Whatever
halflings,
you-
yes.
whatever you
Halflings,
have
gnomes, they're the same thing, right?
They're not.
Luck.
Racism.
Like, okay, you got 2 races, right? You got 2 races worth of chill. All of the chill is with the halflings, none of it is with the gnomes.
Yeah, but you've also got way more crazy shit going on, so...
Yeah, because we don't have any chill.
Yeah, like you've got guns and magic
All the
and shit.
chill is the street for all the crazy.
So you set the...
Yeah, it's a trade.
You set one of the books aside. You move to the next one, and it's Zook. What languages do you understand? What written languages
Common
do you
and
understand?
Gnomish.
Common and Gnomish. Okay. You in particular
But
can't actually read this book because it's written in Elven. Unfortunately.
Shigun.
However, you do notice the scroll that had been laid down does partially have Gnomish script on it. So as Shigun is reading the Chronicle of the Greyhawk Wars, which sounds super duper interesting, you do reach over for the scroll and open it up, and it's actually a very... You've never seen writing quite like this. It's some words are in Gnomish, some words are in Common, and there doesn't really seem to be a pattern to it. As you study through the scroll, it does... the name of House Tarmarin comes up a couple of times actually. It's a relatively lengthy treatise on the minor major houses. Tarmarin is on there, and it does mention that they're described as a veneered home, a veneered house.
What does that mean?
So in Common, they're described as a veneered house, and then written in the margins in Gnomish. You can see. Oops, where's my notes? Here they are. You see that actually the phrase is repeated over and over and over. You see slave labor repeatedly throughout, written in Gnomish. As you skim through the documents, you notice all of the locations that are associated with House Tarmarin are not located within Sundi. You notice a list of locations called labeled by the document in Common as reform homes. With that crossed out, written in Gnomish, says prisons. There are a couple located in eastern Sundi, and there are several located in southeastern Alissa, and there's one located in the city of Bikhol, which is located within the territory of Dulstrand.
Well, this is troubling.
Troubling indeed.
Now, Shigun, as you're reading through this, you do notice that House Tarmarin does come up in a couple of places. However...
I'm gonna keep this scroll.
Okay. However, all the pages that have Tarmarin on them, you notice that it's a header at the bottom of a page. The next page is missing. Make Shigun, actually make... I'm trying to think about what this would be. Make an investigation check with advantage.
And how do I roll advantage again? What's the command?
ADV.
Yep, question mark ADV plus whatever your bonus is. 22. As you're skimming through, you notice that these pages are missing, and as you look carefully, you flip between the page and the previous page and the next page, you notice that the pages that are missing on either side, there appears to be indentation, as if someone had written on the page that was torn out. It is unfortunately, due to the age of the book and the nature of the writing, it may be a little difficult to identify what it is, but it looks like somebody took an interest in this book, wrote notes, and took the notes with them.
Is it possible to discern what it might say or what language it might be, or is it too worn for that?
What methods would you be using to do that?
I'm just trying to do it by visually, just by looking at it.
Just by looking at it. Yeah, unfortunately, the material that the pages are made out of, it's made out of like a blend, paper pulp and parchment material. The indents are fairly light, so it's
Okay.
kind of difficult to see, but they are definitely, they're like in the margins. They have recognizable patterns of being inside the margins and not in the text space.
Okay. I will share this information with Zook, and of course I'll translate the Elven for him.
Yep.
I'm considering whether I could like take one of my handkerchiefs and like lay it under the page with the indents on it, if that could possibly make the indents easier to read, easier to distinguish.
Oh, you mean by by brightening the page through the material?
Yeah, possibly, because like if it's closer, it might become a different color.
Okay, so we are running up at the end of our towards the end of our time. I will say, make an intelligence check and add your, if you don't already have proficiency, add your proficiency bonus. And if you do have proficiency, add expertise.
In what?
Intelligence. Just an straight intelligence check.
What is expertise? Is that like a step above proficiency?
How would
It's
I
just
have
double
proficiency in intelligence?
You can have proficiency in intelligence checks.
Like I'm proficient
Yeah, you can
in
have proficiency in
investigation.
intelligence saving throws. Yeah, sorry, that would be more investigation.
I am proficient in intelligence saving throws.
Okay.
So do I add like double my proficiency bonus to this?
Yeah, just add your proficiency bonus again. Because you're doing something you're proficient with, and then also something you're proficient with.
What are the dice doing?
Man, the dice hate you today.
They like me.
So you shuffle the handkerchief underneath and sort of press down lightly around the writing, and Shigun is able actually to get a much closer look at the writing. Unfortunately, it is not a language either of you know.
Okay. Very.
So that rules out Common, Dwarvish, Elvish, and Gnomish.
Yep.
Indeed. Oh,
All
right,
right.
you know Dwarvish too, don't you? Right.
Shigun does, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
shifting back around to the two... Oh, gotta stand up for this. Change the music away from the tense music. Shifting back to Prudence and Rurik, I believe you were going to the jewelers. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. For this portion, It will be. I'm not gonna do like major role play. So you walk in, you go to the jeweler's shop, and I'm kind of sad because I did have a personality for this and everything, but we just don't have time. So,
Oh, sorry.
it's my fault for not keeping track of time, honestly. You get to the jeweler's shop, and are you looking to sell all the remaining gems that you have?
If Prudence doesn't have any objection, he's all for it. So yes.
Okay. I will say. Oh, let me roll actually real quick for something.
Yeah.
For definitely nothing important. All right. Roll persuasion check.
Both of us, I assume.
Whoever would like to speak, which is both of you, I suppose.
I believe Prudence said he was going to take the lead here.
That's right. So Prudence, you notice that the shopkeep is cordial. They don't have any specific.
Oh, good. He's not racist. Perfect.
Right. They don't seem to have any specific. I mean, this whole town, this whole city, seems to be relatively, at least accepting of tieflings, if not necessarily
I
calm
like
around them.
Very much.
So 19. Okay. So you. Yes, accepting of their money. Well, in this case, they're giving you money. So, are you looking to get face value, or are you looking to get more?
My understanding is that.
Face value.
My
for these,
understanding.
with right now minus one of the lapis would be 38. Yeah, 38. So how much are you looking to get for it? What's your bartering offer? Because
my understanding
I will
is
say
that
right now they are offering face value.
Is that the rule of thumb for D&D for this kind of thing is that the larger a town is, the more woke it is.
Not necessarily. You go over to Ayus. You go over to Ayus, they fucking hate everything that's not human. Scarlet Brotherhood, racist as shit.
It's a rule of thumb.
Make a deception check. Prudence, make a deception check, yeah. Didn't matter, they rolled a 1. They agree, and they hand you, they are holding 50 gold on the counter. You slide the gems over, they hand you your gems. Yeah, good thing you didn't, because it wouldn't have helped them, they still would have failed, but it would have been a better roll. This shopkeep in particular has a +1 for their wisdom modifier, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Alrighty, so you thank the jeweler and you make your way out, and I assume you're going to be making your way up to Elwea's tower. With that, I'm going to call it. I think some of you are looking to do something after this, so I don't want to keep you too long. So yeah, getting to the heart of this whole House Tarmyron thing. Thanks those of you who are watching, all two of you. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more into the meat of things. There was a little bit of dragging, and that's completely my bad. So thank you guys for coming, and thank you guys for playing.
Thank you. That was fun.